You don't find yourself uh, checking if the door's locked, like again and again. Or
Yeah.
maybe you have that feeling where you have to wash your hands way more than seems
Yeah,
necessary.
that intense urge.
We're getting really, really upset if things aren't like perfectly lined up.
Right, that need for order.
Well, if any of that sounds familiar, our sources suggest these kinds of things can sometimes relate to obsessive compulsive disorder,
Mm.
OCD.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's about these unwanted thoughts, the obsessions, right? And they lead to these repetitive actions, the compulsions, often to try and dial down the anxiety.
It's a tough cycle. Anxiety, fear, then the compulsion kicks in.
Exactly.
But here's something really important from our sources. While, there isn't a proven cure for OCD,
Right.
some small dietary changes might actually help support symptom management. That's the key word, support.
Okay.
And this is crucial, absolutely vital. Any changes, any dietary ideas, you absolutely have to talk them over with your psychiatrist
Hmm.
or your doctor. Yeah, it needs to be part of the whole picture therapy, maybe medication, lifestyle stuff. Diet isn't a magic bullet on its own.
Got it. So not a cure, but maybe a helping hand, nutritionally speaking.
Potentially, yes,
Yeah.
as part of a proper treatment plan.
Okay. So with that really important point made, our mission today is to, well, unpack the specific foods our sources suggest might help,
Mm-hmm.
exploring how nutrition could maybe offer some support for the brain when someone's dealing with OCD. Let's dive in.
Okay.
All right, so first up, low-fat dairy, milk, yogurt, that kind of thing. The source mentions protein, which helps keep blood sugar stable.
Yeah, and that stability can be pretty helpful in sort of managing those anxiety spikes that can fuel obsessions.
Right. But it also mentions tryptophan. What's the deal with that, specifically for OCD?
Ah, tryptophan. Well, it's a precursor, basically a building block for serotonin.
The feel-good chemical.
Kind of, yeah, but it's more complex. Serotonin plays a big role in mood, sure, but also potentially in regulating impulses and maybe even lessening those really intrusive thoughts that are so central to OCD.
I see. So giving the brain the raw materials.
Exactly. Helps maintain a more, let's say, balanced emotional state. And interestingly, pairing carbs and protein, like you find in dairy, might even help the tryptophan get to the brain more easily.
Okay, so it's about trying to influence the brain chemistry involved in those thoughts and urges,
You got it.
which leads us nicely to the next category, whole grains.
Perfect transition. Yeah, whole grains are highlighted because they're rich in carbohydrates, which also help with serotonin production.
Ah, another serotonin link.
Exactly. So for someone managing OCD, getting those serotonin levels optimized could be really helpful for the anxiety and those repetitive thought loops.
So think barley, oats, brown rice, not so much the white bread and sugary stuff.
Precisely. Limiting those refined foods helps keep blood sugar steady too, which, as we said, is good for managing symptoms overall.
Makes sense. Okay, if nutrients affect brain chemistry, what about the brain's basic structure and function? That takes us to cold water fish, right? Salmon, mackerel.
Yes, fantastic sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Our sources really stress they're essential fats, crucial for brain function, for the actual pathways involved in emotional regulation.
So they could directly impact how the brain handles stress and anxiety.
That's the idea. Very relevant for OCD. The key is consistency, making them a regular part of balanced meals.
Right, not just once in a blue moon.
Exactly.
What about fruits and vegetables? They always seem to be on the good list.
They definitely are here too. They're packed with antioxidants, think beta carotene, vitamin C. These help the body kind of resist stress and disease.
And dealing with OCD is definitely stressful.
Hugely stressful, often chronic stress. So bolstering the body's overall resilience is important. Plus, you get fiber, water, helps you feel full, good for gut health, which we're learning is increasingly linked to brain health too.
So lots of colors, berries, greens, peppers.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, yeah.
And finally, our sources also mention walnuts and flaxseed.
Right, more omega-3 powerhouses, but plant-based this time.
Ah, okay. So similar benefits to the fish.
In terms of omega-3s for brain health and emotional regulation, yes. Plus, they add protein and other good nutrients. Ground flaxseed in a smoothie, maybe some walnuts on yogurt. Easy ways to get them in.
Great suggestions. Okay, so let's quickly recap. We've looked at low-fat dairy protein, tryptophan for maybe helping with calmness, impulse control, whole grains for the carbs, and serotonin connection, potentially managing those repetitive thoughts.
Right.
Cold water fish, plus walnuts and flaxseed, for those vital omega-3's brain function, emotional regulation,
Essential fats.
and fruits and veggies for antioxidants, fiber, just overall resilience.
Good summary.
But, and it's a big but, we have to stress again, these are potential supports, not a cure. Always, always talk to your psychiatrist or doctor before making dietary changes as part of your OCD treatment.
Absolutely non-negotiable. It has to be integrated properly.
Right.
You know, connecting all this, it brings up a wider point, doesn't it? Just how much do specific nutrients really influence our brain function, our mood, especially when facing something like OCD? It makes you consider, perhaps, how a really holistic view of well-being, one that carefully includes mindful eating choices, could play a supportive role. Always, of course, guided by professional medical advice. Something to think about.